Hello everyone and welcome to our daily show, Hollywood Today.
Today we will begin with our world-renowned segment Media Bias, where we will be reviewing movies as per usual.
Why, aren't they always entertaining?
Yeah, of course they are.
Most people do not realize how movies play towards certain stereotypes.
Exactly, that's why our theme today will be the perpetuation and encouragement of stereotypes in Hollywood movies.
Deep, you don't believe how many people watch those popular movies.
Today we'll be looking at one of the more recent movies from Hollywood, Suicide Squad, and how each of the characters portray a certain stereotype.
Boy, that movie was horrible.
I'll be looking at Killer Croc and Harley Quinn.
I'll be focusing on the characters of Katana, Amanda Waller, and Rick Flag.
And I will be presenting you with Deadshot, Diablo, and Captain Boomerang. You might be asking yourself right now, what would a group of superheroes be doing wrong? Deadshot would be a prime example of this African American stereotype. His use of simple diction, slang, and curse words, which are normally associated with the African American stereotype, is what fuels this stereotype. It shows lack of sophistication in his choice of words. The words such as bitch, shit, which are associated with curse words, or gangster, or homie, which are associated with slang. This just fuels the lack of sophistication in Deadshot's words while he's communicating with others. And he's also portrayed as a deadly assassin who would do anything for money, which this also fuels the stereotype of African Americans doing anything for just money.
Wow, while Colonel Rick Flag plays to the stereotype of a typical prodigy of the military. His resume is extremely impressive. He's an expert in special ops and many other things. And not to mention how he's actually white in the movie. Actually, he is not fond of the team that he has to work with, since now he has to work with people that he usually puts behind bars. He doesn't like how they're criminals and how they should never be on a team that is rescuing other people. He doesn't trust them at all throughout the entire movie. And he keeps emphasizing how this is not a way to deal with such conflicts and problems. And this actually shows how the only way he knows how to do something is the way that is the normal and the way that everyone knows about. He doesn't like seeing anything out of the norm. And a clear example of that is actually when he said, while describing the other team members, they're psychotic, antisocial freaks. It makes no sense. And actually went to said to Amanda Waller, I'll build you a team of pipe hitters who'll do anything you can dream of. What about Harley?
Harley is viewed as the dumb blonde girl. The camera often lingers on her hot pants. The movie portrays Harley Quinn's physical appearance as empowering, especially when she is dressed in a way that sexually arouses both the audience and the characters. Like that time she chose to change her prison uniform to wear her hot pants and her revealing outfit while being surrounded by soldiers.
Oh, so she portrays the dumb blonde stereotype, who does not possess any good qualities except for her physical appearance.
Not just physical appearance, Abaza. She has been also shown to be the property of the Joker. Remember when they were at the bar?
Yeah.
And Joker told her, she's all yours?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he also said, she's my gift to you. It shows that a man could have ownership on a woman.
How about Killer Croc?
Killer Croc is different in that he is a crocodile with an African American accent that depicts his race. Throughout the movie, the character is portrayed to represent the stereotypes of his identity, like watching white girls dancing on bet. The movie is a platform for many common stereotypes that will allow us to understand how the media chooses to represent certain identities of groups.
So he's another victim of the African American stereotype.
Yeah, indeed.
Indeed, I'm actually surprised at how Harley is actually really similar to Katana. Katana in the movie is a Japanese samurai warrior. Of course, the actor was chosen for her Japanese background. She plays to the typical description of any warrior. Uses swords, is of a Japanese background, and so on. She's the protector of the Colonel, Rick Flag, and ensures that all of the other squad members stay in check. She's extremely fearless and has no sense of humor whatsoever throughout the entire movie. She is serious and professional, like any samurai. In the movie, she is hopelessly devoted to her man and lets his death affect her entire life. She even speaks to his soul. Here, women are even objectified, since it is shown that all women stand at the command of any man and are defined by them. It's shown how she says, should I kill them, as soon as she meets the other squad members. And when she's described as, she can cut all of you in half with one sword stroke. She says, my dear husband, if I die, I will finally be with you.
Intriguing. Diablo and Boomerang are opposite when it comes to each of their stereotypes. Diablo is portrayed as this Latino gangbanger who robs and kills people. His backstory explains how he gets angry quickly, which resulted in killing his family. A piece of that backstory involves abusing women, which plays into the stereotype of Latino men abusing women. Not to mention his physical appearance of having tattoos, which is completely unnecessary. In contrast, Boomerang portrays a different stereotype in that it's Australian and that he says mate every 3 seconds and he drinks a lot, which plays into an unfair stereotype of Australian people. And it was just a lazy cultural stereotype which should have been avoided and was not expanded upon.
The control-driven and power-hungry Amanda Waller, however, who was played by a black actress, is repeatedly described as simply mean and nothing more except for mean and angry throughout the entire movie. She acts recklessly several times and commits outrageous crimes, not giving any reason as to why she acts this way. She repeatedly does this throughout the entire movie. She is never given any motives whatsoever in the movie. She is simply an angry black woman who has no reason for her actions. She is never given any motives whatsoever, and she's just mean and angry. A clear example of this is when she executes her FBI coordinates, all of them, without giving any reason whatsoever. And actually, Deadshot responds to this and said, "Damn, that's just a mean lady." The movie is clearly aimed at the West, given that all of the actors speak English in the movie, and it was actually produced by Hollywood. Not to mention how all of the stereotypes can be easily found in the USA.
Precisely. The main purpose of the movie is also entertainment.
Just like all Hollywood movies.
However, I believe the tones, which are quite different, cannot be ignored.
Yeah, exactly. For example, Deadshot's tone is sarcastic and selfish. When an instance which shows these two traits is when his client was not willing to pay him to assassinate a specific person, he told him, "You know the drill, I get paid first," which further emphasizes his selfish nature. Another example is when Deadshot names demands for his for joining the squad for making absurd demands for his daughter going to Harvard or Yale, which also shows that how he only cares about him or his daughter.
Well,
what about you, Mr. Wardany? I'm interested to hear about Harley Quinn's character.
Harley's tone is histrionic. Throughout the movie, Harley tries to grab attention sexually, humorously, and emotionally. Like, for example, that time Harley blurted out in a meeting, "I'm bored, play with me." This is why I think Harley Quinn has a histrionic tone. This is a clear example of how she is completely crazy and airheaded, much like the pretty blonde stereotype.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with it?
I kind of am, yeah. Like, they're only pretty, but they're not very bright.
Yeah, it also shows how she needs excessive attention. I think that she uses her craziness in order to stand out and quench your attention.
Of all these, I think Rick Flag's tone is one we can't ignore.
For sure, in the movie he continuously makes it clear that he is the person in charge and that he is the leader. He is the person they always have to report to. This is why his tone is actually extremely assertive, since he's always making sure that they know that he's the leader, and that is the only way he knows how to do things. And actually this is shown when he continuously says, "You disobey me, you die. You try to escape, you die. You otherwise irritate or vex me, and guess what? You die." Here you make sure how he's in control. He's the person who is the leader. Amanda Waller is also extremely assertive, but she is also manipulative. She also continues to make sure that everyone knows that she's in control and they're at her demand and hers only. This can easily be seen when she says, "Now he'll follow my orders as holy writ." And when she says also, "The only person that matters in the city, the only person you can't kill," when she was describing herself. She's also manipulative, showing her talent resides within her ability to convince anyone to do what she wants and her devious actions. For example, she says, "Getting people to act against their own self-interest for the national security of the US is what I do for a living."
After learning about Diablo's tragic past, his tone is pacifistic. This is evident by his lack of participation in any action or any violence throughout large parts of the movie. For example, anyone who tries to convince him to fight, he either replies by either of these two statements. They say, "My fight, homie," or "I'm just a man. I ain't no weapon. I'ma die in peace before I raise my fist again." In contrast, Captain Boomerang is a very erratic character. Because of his heavy drinking, he's very disrespectful to his teammates and especially to women. When Rick, an instance where this is shown is when Rick Flag talks about his rogue girlfriend. Captain Boomerang replies, "You know how women are."
And actually, And actually, Katana is extremely calm. She barely speaks throughout the entire movie. She only speaks 2 or 3 times, and whenever she speaks, she's speaking to her dead husband. This helps show how effective her husband's death has been on her life, and this helps identify her as a typical samurai who does not speak at all and is always serious. But what about the animalistic Killer Croc?
Well, he's self-confident. Killer Croc is not a significant character, but every team needs to have their Hulk.
Oh yeah.
He's a man of few words when he speaks and expresses himself in a self-confident tone. Like that time Harley Quinn was trying to pick on his appearance. He simply replied with, "I'm beautiful."
But what more about their language?
Their devices?
Of course, yes, their devices. They're profound in identifying their characters within certain stereotypes. With Rick Flag, it seems like the most prominent are diction and their use of the pronoun you. All of the words Rick Flag uses show how he's a man of precision who will work relentlessly to achieve his goal, no matter what the casualties are.
What are some of the words he uses in his diction?
He uses words like "I don't do luck, I do planning and precision, there is no other way, just get it done, and you heard me." This shows how he has a strong character. In addition, he uses the pronoun you when he addresses the other Suicide Squad members, showing how he's not like them. He's a soldier, he's honorable. They are just criminals who the country needs for a while. This is shown when he, for example, says, "I'm a soldier, and you're a serial killer who takes credit cards." And he refers to them as "not these scumbags."
3. Really, while with Deadshot, his diction is expressed through his African American ethnicity, through his use of slang words and curse words, which I previously mentioned before. In addition to that, he also is a very metaphoric person. For example, when they found out that they were actually saving Amanda Waller, he told her, "You have to think of something quick because the people out there think we're saving Nelson Mandela." He's comparing her to Nelson Mandela. Not only does this show that he can be metaphoric, but he's also a very sarcastic person.
Yeah, I remember that. But how does this compare to the crazy Harley Quinn?
Harley Quinn uses consonants to show some degree of self-control. A good example would be the conversation with the guard at the beginning of the movie when she said, "I sleep where I want, when I want, with who I want," while licking the cage spores.
Again, this is actually extremely similar to Katana. Katana, the main device is symbolism. It's extremely important when it comes to Katana, since the sword who she carries around everywhere symbolizes her husband and her endless and unconditional love for him. She uses it since she thinks that her soul is trapped inside it, and she continuously talks to him through the sword. She has no other way of communicating with him, and that is shown when Rick Flag says, "The man who killed her husband used that sword. His soul's trapped inside it. She talks to it."
Oh, so it's the only thing she has left in her life.
Exactly, and oppositely, Amanda Walker, her addiction, all of the words she uses show how she's assertive and help improve her tone throughout the entire movie, and it actually portrays herself as a strong character, someone who they can all depend on and they also must report to. This shows when she says things like "I see everything" and in my pocket when she was asked where the criminals are. And also another device is labeling. She continuously differentiates between her and the criminals, much like what Rick Flag used to do. She uses words such as "the worst of the worst," "they joined the circus," and "he became a monster" when describing the other members of the
freaks.
Yeah, and freaks. Correct.
Our beloved Boomerang, however, is known for his unique diction. He refers to women as honey, and his consistent use of mate emphasizes the character is from Australia. He occasionally uses the word love to Harley Quinn to further emphasize his background of being Australian. He also uses the word bloke to describe someone else. For example, when he described Diablo as this fiery bloke.
Again, it's helping him, much like before, being identified with that stereotype.
Yes.
He's also metaphoric when he tries to display his self-confidence. For example, when the soldiers were entering the sewer before the final battle, they asked Killer Croc to stay back, but he replied with, "I live underground, y'all just tourists." The metaphor used here shows that Killer Croc's experience underwater surpasses the soldiers by calling them tourists, while he is the one who lives there. The effect of the metaphor is that it shows how Killer Croc is confident about himself and his abilities. Is that the same for Diablo?
Well, for Diablo, he isn't a very confident person. He's mainly associated with metaphors to describe himself and his bad tragedy, and he uses diction which mainly just reflects on his Hispanic ethnicity. When he uses words such as homie, ain't, sup, fool, this just reflects on his Latino ethnicity. But when he's metaphoric, he describes his tragedy. When there was one time where Deadshot asked him what was he like before joining the squad, Diablo described himself as a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. Kind of like how all Latinos are treated in the great United States.
Exactly.
The great United States.
However, I do not believe that the film overall and its general layout also effectively help with identifying the characters with certain stereotypes.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah, the layout of the film is extremely important. For example, in the beginning, they're all introduced. They introduce all of their craziness, but at the end, all of the characters go back to their craziness once again. And throughout the entire movie, they explain their craziness, which all pertains to the stereotype. Each craziness is related to the stereotype. For example, when addressing Harley Quinn, she says, "People say I don't want you're crazy." Also, throughout before they went to fight, all of the members were given something that catered to their specific craziness and stereotype. For example, Killer Croc, he was given a leather jacket made from crocodile skin, and Harley Quinn was given very revealing clothes and a bat.
And handgun.
Yeah, and a handgun, exactly. And actually, most of the characters like Katana and Amanda Waller, their motives are never shown throughout the entire movie.
They're not explained.
They're not explained whatsoever, and the relationship between their stereotype and why it had to be this stereotype is not explained, and none of their motives are shown throughout the entire movie.
Wow, that is of utmost importance.
For sure. So, Mr. Ali, what have you learned?
Well, I think it illustrates the modern West culture, which the characters in the movie reflect our racist and sexist ways of giving stereotypes to specific race to specific people. The reliance on these characters weakens our representation by failing to develop these characters from diverse backgrounds. And Suicide Squad in general is a useful example, if only for the simple reason that no one is well developed. There's no background explanation whatsoever to explain the motives they had in this movie, and it's all over the place.
Well, this sounds similar to movies like Manchester by the Sea, Deadpool, Zootopia, and Jungle Book. All movies that one would not expect to revolve around stereotypes, but they actually do.
All of this, of course, is thanks to the beloved Hollywood.
Wow, guys, this was perhaps the best and most informative segment we've had.
Join us next time for a fruitful debate on, well, let's face it, we'll find a new movie that only uses stereotypes. Baywatch!